The Music Box Challenge. Where do I begin in describing the Music Box Challenge? Also, why do we keep calling it the Music Box Challenge? It's clearly a turntable, but I digress. This is a very annoying challenge. I'm going to explain to you how it works. So, these puzzles that I'm solving right now, they're random. They're completely random. They are made up by a computer with random numbers. They work every time, except for the ones that don't. By the way, there are a few that don't, and they're intentionally made to not work. But their locations are always randomized, so you have to find them in this very obscure-shaped cavern to sort of figure out how to get through them. You then have to solve them. Again, they're random every time, so they're never the same, and you can't learn from them. And then you have to solve these. And it's always the case that two of them are false. I've never run into a situation where one of them works and the other doesn't. So basically every time I'm like, okay, does this one work? Is this one true? But then I have to say, maybe it's not true because it's clearly unsolvable. So I just wasted a whole lot of time on that. And oh, by the way, there's time pressure. Time pressure on a puzzle where up until this point, everything has been done at your own pace. Do you know how nice that is? It's not very nice. It's not very nice at all. It's very painful. Anyway, so earlier on, you might have seen me take a screenshot of a map. If not, I'll point out when I do it because I kind of had to repeat this many times. So basically, it's a pain in the ass. And you see that map there? I'll show it. I'll focus on it right now. So that map right there that I took a screenshot of, that map is going to be an actual three-dimensional map that we move through later on. So we solve it, and then from solving it, we learned the correct path to take that passes by two of those yellow nodes. Those yellow nodes correspond to these maps. And again, if you fail them, you have to go back and try it again, and they are completely reset and new random maps. And yeah, if you reset in this, you're probably not going to solve it. So just give up and start over again by that point. That's what I did. So anyway, see, a lot of these are easy and a lot of these are hard, and the difficulty seems to be, well, random. So you never know if you're going to get an easy challenge or a hard challenge. You kind of just have to deal with it as it comes. And, you know, it puts you through your paces and you feel like you might have learned something maybe from the experience, but ultimately at the end of the day, you're just repeating and repeating and repeating the same random puzzles over and over again, taking a screenshot of the map, trying to then solve those 6 random puzzles in the cave that you don't know where they're going to be positioned, and then going through the maze again after doing the 2 correct out of the 6 puzzles, 4 of them being false, and then you go through the maze again, and you find the 2 nodes, you then solve the 2 nodes, and the process just repeats over and over and over again, while the music is just graining over and over again. So I can see why people call it the music box, because it's like a repeating, constantly looping, musical, just annoying thing. And here, I got really close. I actually got very, very, very close in this challenge. I didn't actually ultimately end up recording myself succeeding. I did it, though, after much trial and error. Basically, here's my process. I went into it expecting to lose. I did not expect to win. So because I didn't expect to win, I was pleasantly surprised when I did. That's basically what I had to do. But I digress. It's a pain in the ass. It's a very pain in the ass challenge. And now, this, since it's a very, very close time for me getting to the end, I'll show you what comes after the maze. Because up until this point, you haven't seen what comes after the maze. And yes, there are things after the maze. The maze is not the end-all, be-all of this challenge. You see, these pillar puzzles have to be completed in about the last 10 to 15 seconds you have. And they are hard, and they're three-dimensional, and they require you to think three-dimensionally and wrap the map around in your head. And remember, it has no edges except for the top and bottom, so there's no worry about the terminating point, but you create your own terminating point because it's drawing 2 lines simultaneously. Basically, this is what literally happened to me. In my last try, I accidentally right-clicked 3 times and just had to redraw the map again and again and again because I had like something on my mouse pad, like my wallet or something, and my mouse just kept accidentally hitting it with the right mouse button. But thank God, it's over. It's done. I got it. I got the last thing. So what did that unlock? What did it unlock? I have all the puzzles completed, and I have all the freaking, obelisks completed. So what happened? Well, I went to the lake, and I found a clamshell that had opened, that had been previously closed, and I realized that the clamshells now must correlate or correspond to the videos being unlocked. So each of the 6 videos is a clamshell on this map in the lake, as it were. that you unfortunately can't really wade into to get a better look at things. But, you get a pretty good look at everything from the outside. Now I just have to find the last few audio logs, I suppose. I haven't found them all. I thought I'd come close to finding most of them, but there are still some that are hidden to me, and I must find them. And once I find them, then at last will be completed. I also would like to say that there's something very strange about these puzzles. I think there's something more here than what has been gleaned by just them being simple, easy to solve puzzles. I think they have multiple terminating points. They have multiple starting points. There has to be something more to them than just this. There must be a pattern or a number series or a directional series, or maybe if they all go in the same direction or if they all go in different directions. I don't know. Also, I finally got the freaking shadow puzzle. I finally solved the freaking shadow puzzle. That's right, the one that drove me nearly insane. I don't know how I did it, but I did it, and I'm happy that I did it, and it's finally over. But, so you're going to get to watch all the glory of that right now. Yep, drew the line, and at first I thought, oh no, my shadow's in the way. I'm not going to be able to do it. My shadow's in the way. All hope is lost. Why did I even bother coming this far? But I held on, and I was like, wait. I think I can draw it now. Near the edge. No time to think about it. Just do it. And it worked, and I was like, yes. Okay, so moving on to solve the next puzzle I found. This is basically just a recap now. At this point, we've gone back in time to me finding all of the obelisks and solving them. So this is some old footage. I sat and watched this cloud for, I think it was an hour. Watching it go back and forth, and I realized, oh, the bits of the cloud, they come and go, so I just have to wait. And I waited and waited and waited, and you're watching this at 128 times speed. This is how fast it actually moves, so you can get a very good idea of just how painful it is to have to sit and wait for this thing. Oh my god. Moving on, the next goal was, of course, to try to figure out where the other lines might be that I hadn't gathered. I found these in the bamboo because I realized I'd never drawn any lines in the bamboo. There must be some. Looked up, and there it was. And then I completed all the mountain challenges. So that was it. Finally done mountain. Last one was, of course, the town. The town was a bit painful because I had to find a lot of hidden stuff in the town. I'd already gotten a lot. I also went by the coastline for a bit because I realized I hadn't finished the coastline one. And I found some in the sand, and also these underground, which I had completely missed for some reason. And interestingly enough, when you draw in the reflection, I've discovered that the lights only move in the reflection. You don't see them up on the surface, and it's just a really cool little effect. I also like the way that this one looked when it was done being drawn. It just was very shiny and dark in the cave, and I don't know, I just like the flow of it all. It was sparkly, like a planetarium or something. But anyway, I've already discussed the kiln one, and I do wonder if there's any more secrets to the pottery there. Like maybe the pottery could be used to enter a code or something. I don't know. And let's see, what else did I find in this footage? I don't even remember. Oh yeah, I found another line that I thought I'd drawn, but I hadn't yet. And I also looked around the coastline for a bit to see if there's anything else here, because the obelisk said there was one more in this sort of general direction. And then I was like, I just sort of had a goofy moment where I was like, wait, is this it? Yeah, okay. Yeah, all right, there it is. It's just been there the whole time, never even noticed it before, and all right, there we go. So, moving on to the next one. That completed, of course, the beachside obelisk, and that was awesome to see done finally. And I checked back to the lake, and every time I completed an obelisk, I noticed the fountains were increasing in the lake. I found even more puzzles in the steps of the temple, which surprised me a lot. And I spent a lot of time looking at the trees in the nearby area, because I was like, these trees have to have secrets that I can't even begin to comprehend. And yes, there were many, many, many secrets in the trees. So when you're in this area, don't disregard this forest. It's just something you pass through and do the sound quests in. There's actually a lot of hidden lines in the trees that you don't even think are there. I even found some that looked like they should be hidden lines, but they weren't, because the circle wasn't quite perfectly a circle. And I think they were kind of there for misdirection purposes, or maybe I was just finding lines and circles in places where they literally did not exist at all, and I was slowly going insane. I'm not sure. Maybe I am a little bit of column A, a little bit of column B in that one. Found some more, finished the forest, and then went to the seaside afterwards after completing the forest challenges. And in my boat, I found a lot more stuff along the coastline, and it was also very interesting what I found there. Again, a reflection puzzle was there, and when I drew in the reflection, it too showed up in the water only, which was kind of neat to see. I also found some more in the town, which I think you saw earlier. I'm trying to think if there's anything that really stood out to me. I know the colored wall was interesting because I had to go in and actually change it to green to solve that one. And by this point, I'm not even sure where I am in the video, because whenever I cut into 64 times speed, the time sync with the video kind of goes all awry, which you may or may not have noticed, actually. But I'll just go ahead and just generally talk about my experience while you watch this footage. So I'm really thoroughly enjoying The Witness, obviously. I like what's going on with it. I like the mystery. But now that I've completed the obelisks, I do wonder what will happen next. I have not achieved 100% yet. I'm at like 99.9 because I'm missing maybe 2 audio diaries, maybe 3. I could be wrong on that. It could be up to 5, though. I'm not sure. I'm not sure if I found all the audio diaries even in the sort of credits sequence you unlock. I probably need to go back in there and look around some more. Because I was always recording, I just wanted to sort of rush through it and get it all done. But that being said, I do think once I'm done, there won't be anything to trigger. There won't be any sort of thing I go up to and say, all right, there we go. We've triggered this. We've done this now. I was glad, though, that when I went into the end credits sequence, that it did not destroy my save game. I wasn't like trapped in there forever. Immediately afterwards, after saving my game, I was able to leave that section. So really, the whole end credits sequence just counts as a single line drawing Easter egg find that contributes. I also was wondering why the end credits had to look in on the challenge area, as if the challenge area was somehow significant or important. But I guess really the challenge was something that they spent a lot of time working on, so it was particularly an element of focus for them. Because, I mean, if you think about it, the challenge had to be randomly generated every time, but the random generation had to follow rules, you know? It had to follow a methodology, whereas the pre-made puzzles don't have to be randomly generated. Though I do wonder if he used the I Ching, because if you look at the end video, he knocks over some coins, and then beside the coins there's like a little shoelace or twine, and you can use that to sort of create your own line puzzle very quickly, because you just lay the coins down and you say, okay, how do I make these interesting? What rules do I have to follow? How do I separate them out? And that's like using the I Ching to create your puzzles, which is very Zen-like, but also a fun way of using random generation with physicality. And I do wonder about that. Also, I found some audio diaries, obviously, in places that I'd been by many, many times. And now I'm going to just give you a showcase of those so you can enjoy them. And that's the rest of the video. Be sure to click to watch more. Bye-bye.
If a man, holding a belief which he was taught in childhood or persuaded of afterwards, keeps down and pushes away any doubts which arise about it in his mind, purposely avoids the reading of books and the company of men that call into question or discuss it, and regards as impious those questions which cannot easily be asked without disturbing it, the life of that man is one long sin against mankind. But, says one, I am a busy man. I have no time for the long course of study which would be necessary to make me in any degree a competent judge of certain questions, or even able to understand the nature of the arguments. Then he should have no time to believe. William K. Clifford, 1874.
We join spokes together in a wheel, but it is the center hole that makes the wagon move. We shape clay into a pot, but it is the emptiness inside that holds whatever we want. We hammer wood for a house, but it is the inner space that makes it livable. We work with being, but non-being is what we use. Lao Tzu, 6th century BC.
The most beautiful experience we can have is the mysterious. It is the fundamental emotion that stands at the cradle of true art and true science. Whoever does not know it and can no longer wonder, no longer marvel, is as good as dead and his eyes are dimmed. It was the experience of mystery, even if mixed with fear, that engendered religion. A knowledge of the existence of something we cannot penetrate, our perceptions of the profoundest reason and the most radiant beauty, which only in their most primitive forms are accessible to our minds. It is this knowledge and this emotion that constitute true religiosity. In this sense, and in this alone, I am a deeply religious man.
In a sense, what modern physics is to the history of Western thought, Zen is to the development of the Eastern worldview, the ultimate refinement of more than 2,000 years of incisive debate, discussion, and critical development. Yet the difference between the two could hardly be more marked. Whereas physics is interested above all in theories, concepts, and formulas, Zen values only the concrete and the simple. Zen wants facts, not in the Western sense of things that are measurable and numerical, which are in fact abstractions, but as living, immediate, and tangible. Its approach to understanding is not to theorize, because it recognizes that previously accumulated ideas and knowledge, in other words, memories of all kinds, block the direct perception of reality. Therefore, Zen adopts an unusual approach. Its buildup involves language, which is unavoidable. Any method, even if it turns out to be an anti-method, has first to convey some background in order to be effective. But the way Zen uses language is always to point beyond language, beyond concepts to the concrete. David Darling, 1996.
O Lord God, helper of those who seek you, I see you in the garden of paradise, and I do not know what I see, because I see nothing visible. I know this alone, that I know that I do not know what I see, and that I can never know. I do not know how to name you, because I do not know what you are. Should anyone tell me that you are named by this or that name, by the fact that one gives a name, I know that it is not your name. For the wall beyond which I see you is the limit of every mode of signification by names. Should anyone express any concept by which you could be conceived, I know that this concept is not a concept of you, for every concept finds its boundary at the wall of paradise. Should anyone express any likeness and say that you ought to be conceived according to it, I know in the same way that this is not a likeness of you. So too, if anyone, wishing to furnish the means by which you might be understood, should set forth an understanding of you, one is still far removed from you. For the highest wall separates you from all these, and secludes you from everything that can be said or thought, because you are absolute from all the things that can fall within any concept. Nicholas of Cusa, 1453.
Suppose a boat is crossing a river and another empty boat is about to collide with it. Even an irritable man would not lose his temper. But supposing there was someone in the second boat, then the occupant of the first would shout to him to keep clear, and if the other did not hear the first time, nor even when called 3 times, bad language would inevitably follow. In the first case, there was no anger. In the second, there was. Because in the first case, the boat was empty, and in the second, it was occupied. And so it is with man. If he could only roam empty through life, who would be able to injure him? Shuangzi, 4th century BC. Lustily, I dipped my oars into the silent lake, and as I rose upon the stroke, my boat went heaving through the water like a swan. When, from behind that craggy steep, till then the horizon's bound, a huge peak, black and huge, as if with voluntary power instinct, upreared its head. I struck and struck again, and growing still in stature, grim shape towered up between me and the stars. But after I had seen that spectacle, for many days my brain worked with a dim and undetermined sense of unknown modes of being. Or my thoughts, there hung a darkness. Call it solitude or blank desertion. William Wordsworth, 1888.